So I'm going to invite the writers to introduce themselves just in a very short way. I am going to start with myself, then I will call out names. So my name is Rok. I'm from India originally. I live in Oakland. I teach and facilitate, especially all women groups. And I love beauty in this world. And I really love the amazingness of the human spirit. That's who I am. Thank you for being here. And I will pass the baton to Lynn.
Hi, so I live in Palm Springs and I just see life as an adventure. That's what I do.
Okay, let's introduce to you Roshni.
Hi everyone, I'm Roshni. I am a feminist therapist. I am a gardener and I love nature. Nice to see you all.
Thank you, Roshni. Okay, let's introduce to you Jody.
Mute myself. Oh, there we go. Hi everyone, I'm Jody. I live in Santa Barbara, California. I have an identical twin sister who's going to be on pretty soon to listen. This was really new for me. I didn't really consider myself a writer, and it's been an amazing experience to be surrounded by these incredible writers and supportive women. And now I feel like I'm a writer, and it's really cool. In real life, I do an educator and a filmmaker, and now a writer.
Thank you.
Here.
Okay, let's go to Marty.
Hi everyone, I'm Marty. I live in Oakland and I am a therapist. I've come to writing very late. I love it. It's fun. I hope you enjoy being here. I'm really happy to be in this group. It's been really fun. What can I say? I write better than I'm speaking, actually. Don't worry.
You go, Marty. Let's introduce you to Leora, for those who don't know her.
Hi, I'm Leora, also known as Gigi. I'm originally from Hollywood, California, but I live in San Diego now. I'm a designer by day and love all things arts, music, and the natural world.
Who did I miss? Did I miss anyone? Nina. Where's Nina?
I'm here.
There you go.
I'm Nina. I'm from Georgia. Originally, I'm from Georgia, but I live in Oakland, and I'm also a designer.
Tell us which Georgia, because people might think Georgia in this country.
In Eastern Europe.
Thank you for joining us, Nina. Okay, have I gone over everyone? Yes, we have. So the first piece is going to be read by, let me bring out the lineup. We're going to start with Nina, and she's going to read about Thank You for Loving Me. Know that these were unknown prompts that I would just announce in the class, and they have to just go right there, right then. So these are prompts, but basically some were 10, 15-minute prompts, some were 30-minute prompts, and I would just announce the prompt and they would start on the clock and they would write for that amount of time, and then they would share in small groups. So that's how these pieces were written. Go for it, Nina.
Thank you. I was 9 years old when my mother was killed. I don't know exactly when, but I decided to forget her. I chose to move on. My body was still recovering from giving birth. My mind was in complete bliss. I would look at my newborn daughter and I could barely take the intense love I had for her. I could stare at her endlessly. There was nothing like this I had ever experienced before. Pure love, So strong, so powerful, so beautiful, so intense, so scary even. And in the moments, those moments, it struck me, and I felt it so profoundly. My mother, who I had chosen to forget, must have loved me just as much. I have never felt as loved before as during those moments. I cried for days. I tried to remember everything: her hands, her hair, her smile, the purple crochet beret I have seen in the photos published in newspapers all over television after her death. I dug for any memory I may have ever had. When my daughter turned 9, I was scared I might die that year. I was scared she would be left without me. That thought made me feel sad, only because I knew how much she loved me.
Thank you, Nina. Lynn is going to read on the same prompt, which is thank you for loving me.
Your patience with my questions allowed me not license to learn. I love sitting with you in Grandpa's lazy boy recliner with the heart-shaped table he made to hold your coffee cup between our chairs. We thrilled together watching Secretariat win the Triple Crown. I could share your excitement as you tipped your lazy boy forward to lean into the race. When Grandpa was around, you smiled and swung your crossed leg back and forth. If you were annoyed with him or anyone else, your leg would swing faster as you smiled sweetly. I asked you about this and you told me, vinegar doesn't touch flies, honey does. I watched you catch flies as you offered your opinion that was in opposition to whomever you were debating with a smile on your lips. More often than not, the other person ended up agreeing with you. At the kitchen table, with the sun shining through the philodendron you'd trained to circle the ceiling and window, you spread out the paper with the stock market returns. You advised investing in blue chip stocks if I ever had the money for investments. Then we moved on to how to make dumplings. You taught me how to put up grape jelly from the grapes in the backyard. Under your watchful eye, we heated the paraffin to cap the jars. No water could splash in the wax as it was heated, or it would explode. What amazed me is that it did not explode when poured over the purple liquid to seal in summer. On the wall next to the kitchen door was a school bell that you let me ring to let Grandpa know it was time to come in from the garden. When he reached the kitchen, he would weigh the raspberries or vegetables he had picked, and you would note the weights on a narrow piece of paper. Your handwriting was spidery and clearly formed. This was another thing you advised, that I perfect good penmanship. You told me it was a sign of good breeding. At the end of the season, you would add up the totals of all the produce and calculate how much it would have cost if purchased from the store. I loved sitting in the platform rocking chair in front of the swamp cooler Great Grandpa Herb had made, watching you tabulate with your ballpoint pen. The cool, damp air was just right, as it blew the hair from my face and cooled the sweat collected on my neck from climbing the apple tree. In the evening, in front of your bathroom vanity mirror, you spread Pond's cold cream over your face. The secret to good skin, you said, was moisturizer. You recommended I start applying thick moisturizer at 12. We brushed our hair together with the brush and comb set you had. The brush was soft. My whole body tingled as you brushed through my hair. You parted my hair with the comb, sending shivers radiating all over my scalp. Your nighttime ritual included taking your teeth out. On your bedside table was a glass of fresh water. You dropped your teeth into the water. Before your teeth came out, you warned me that if I didn't want false teeth by 45, I would need to brush on a daily basis. I inherited your weak enamel, but not the false teeth. You laughed at my humor and reminded me that I was smart. When I doubt myself, you visit me and offer me the answers I seek, and each time I thank you.
Thank you, Nina and Roshni. I invite you, everyone, to take a moment and think of who do you feel loved by? In our lives, Who are the people that you feel grateful and want to thank because they love you? And maybe sometime you will take your pen and paper and write about that. So the next prompt would be, where is my home? Where do I feel like I am at home? And I'm going to invite first Roshni and then Leora to read their pieces. Go for it, Roshni.
Sorry, I keep hitting mute and it's unmuting and muting. Okay, here we go. When and where do I feel most at home? I do feel comfortable to some degree at my parents' house. I left there at 17, so I don't feel it's really my home, but I do feel connection to my ancestors there. I can feel my nanny, and my mom's energy is loving and comforting. I don't take naps often, but if I lay in my mom's bed, I can crash out anytime. Our energies resonate well together most of the time. I've designed my backyard to be my paradise, and I do love it. All the trees I've planted and watched grow, the avocado, standing very tall, maybe 13 feet or more, green branches, not fully turned brown. One avocado came one year, but more will come. 2 mulberry trees, one fruiting. Once the branches and leaves grow out, I call them Cousin Nick. Sweet, delicious mulberries. I love picking, especially with my mom. She gets so excited to eat them right off the tree. I have to race my squirrel friend to see who gets them first. My tangerine and lemon trees let out a beautiful citrus-kissed, jasmine-esque fragrance that the wind brings under your nose. The artichoke bush standing taller than ever with the torrential rains of late. Ladybugs doing it on large, hardy leaves as tall as me. Even the seeds I planted in my planter box are growing like crazy. Dill, radishes, cabbage, onions, potato, and the mini eggplant tree that keeps on blooming through beautiful, rich purple flowers. I love my garden. It brings me peace and reminds me that growth takes time. It's funny because more than making the things for my garden, I love to give away veggies and fruits. I feel so honored to share what I've tended and loved and watched grow. It's very humbling. It grounds me in the quiet, deep, dark place within me. That place I tap into deep in my meditation, where I'm right back in India with you. On the roof of the ashram, watching all the kites in awe, feeling completely full within, wishing I could hug you just one more time, remembering the strength it gave me just being in your presence and laughing with you, enjoying just being. I think you would have loved to sit with me in my garden. I would have loved to sit with you in that peace you bring me, that place of deep understanding, acceptance, and unconditional love. Thank you.
I invite Leora to do her piece on where she finds home.
My mind is most at home with an easy conversation. My emotions invited with a smile, and eyes that feel like a comfy lounge chair where I and we can share common experiences or listen to and be curious about each other's lives and life views. My spirit is at home in the ocean where the water and I are not separate. Feet in sand, water passing through and around. The sand yielding beneath as creatures stir feels luxurious like a massage. I'm standing, splashing, or swimming for hours. The shore is the keystone, my guide, as the tide may pull me in its ebb and flow. Here in the natural world, water, especially seawater, is my home. I can forest bathe for hours amongst bamboo, pines, cacti, or flowers, exotic or not. Sweeping vistas, near and far, enrobe me, cradling and supporting my emotions. With music, I am alive as my body moves with or against rhythm, finding its own entrainment. My body is at home in the dance that it creates.
Thank you, Leora. So again, this same prompt, but how people write so differently, right? People's brains and what they bring into the table is just so amazing from different angles. And now I'm going to invite Marty to write, who has written about, the prompt was my best quiet. What is it? Where is it? Do you find your best quiet deep inside you? Welcome, Marty.
Thank you. My favorite quiet was 2 a.m. when I sat in the carved oak rocker with the round caned seat, holding my infant son warm against my body. The world around us was dark and the street slept outside the window. The houses silent, drawn into themselves, each holding their own secrets, their own worlds. I was in primal mode, doing what I was created for. Having grown new life within the quiet of my womb, I was now sustaining this life that I had created. So natural, purposeful, intimate, holy and private in the stillness of his room. Latched onto my breast, eyes closed, hungrily sucking the nourishment my body provided only for him. Sometimes his baby soft hand reached up and gently rested against my cheek. I felt our connection, our blending of blood, our need for one another. He totally in the moment. Me so very aware and overwhelmed at the simplicity and complexity, all at the same time. The quiet was filled with the sounds of his sweet, sucking little gulps of satisfaction. I wanted this moment to last forever, and it has. It was my favorite quiet. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. And next is Jody Nelson, and she is going to read her piece about an achievement. So Jody, telling you about one of her achievements. Go for it, Jody.
Okay. There we go. Do you know what it's like to have a fear of writing? A fear that encapsulates every cell of your soul as you sit in your own inertia for what feels like an eternity. I had that kind of fear. But this wasn't always. Kittens. I won the 3rd grade countywide poetry contest for Best Poem of the Year to be published in the school poetry journal for my poem about kittens. Yes, kittens. A fancy pink construction paper cover with big wide ruled beige papers with those little hash marks for capital and lowercase pencil letters, with one page playfully expressing kittens for all of Santa Barbara to read. My kittens came alive. So what happened? After my early success as a published poet, I went dormant. Writing was serious now. 7th grade English, paragraphs, indents, outlines, pros and cons. No one was there to cheer me on or see my glorious gift. Scolded by teachers for my unskilled verbiage, fear set in. Passing notes under the table became all I could tolerate. Unable to climb my way out, daily tantrums and tears, I only had one saving grace: my mother, the elegant writer. She saved me from my demise. I wiped away tears that fell on the paper she wrote for me about history and Shakespeare to theories of how the world would end. My pseudonym, my mom. I couldn't stuff her in my suitcase far back east at college, so I was on my own. No mom, no papers, couldn't graduate without passing the writing test. 3 times is a charm. I finally passed. An achievement in its own right, but not yet my greatest. It was yet to come. Throughout my teaching career, I avoided writing, even love letters. But I knew deep down inside I needed to overcome this private prison of prose. So I took the leap and enrolled in Writing 101 as an adult with no purpose other than to conquer my fear. Studying, learning, making friends with libraries. Some 20 years ago, our final paper, Just Right. I titled my paper, My Private Prison, detailing my sketchy, painful past of lies and deceits to survive writing. The achievement? Well, here it is. My paper was chosen as Paper of the Year to be read out loud by me at the illustrious End of the Year Writing Awards, to be published in our school journal chosen from many. And the biggest and best? I was paid to have My Private Prison published in a Houghton Mifflin textbook titled Writing. As I read to the crowd of hundreds, no critics in sight, I concluded my reading with tears of victorious thank you to my mom and the kittens.
So that was one round by the writers. And if I may, I would love to end that round with a piece that I have written on one of the prompts, which is what Marty read, My Best Quiet. So here I go. Pen. Yeah. Some of my best quiets tend to be very noisy. Like sitting on a suitcase on the platform of an Indian railway station, sipping warm tea, a theater of coming and going, playing all around me. Kids and beggars, office goers and farmers, peddlers and ticket checkers, playing their very respective roles. The humdrum of life quietening my mind. Like waiting for my mom to finish her rituals at the temple, leaning against the old column at the entrance, bells being rung by the devotees, ebb and flow of chanting of various voices, the elephant at the temple courtyard being fed with mumbling prayers, monkeys trying to steal the fruits and people screaming at them, the smell of incense and cow dung and marigold, quietening my senses. Like lying down on the brick bench by the pond in my village, eating a mango, listening to the kids jumping in from the trees, villagers catching up as they come to take a dip, wash their clothes, their pots and pans making noise as they got washed, men chatting as they put in a net to catch the fishes, sounds of birds and cats and dogs and chickens and goats and rabbits and pigs floating in and out, quietening my need to do anything. And then there are those quiets in between things, the darkness in between the glowing tip of the cigarette being smoked by my father, the silence between the snoring of my brother, The pause between my grandma's stomach rising and falling. The peace of being left alone on the beach in Puri, in between two peddlers trying to sell me something. And the space, or the sweet space between two things happening when something has ended and nothing has started yet. But my best quiets? Ah, my hand dipped in paint, smearing on the canvas. The first puff of a cigarette after a sip of Glenlivet, standing alone in the balcony on a rainy night. But my very best quiet, my whole body swimming slowly, deeper and deeper, deep inside water, and the pause, the sense of floating before I go up for air.
Yay.
Thank you, everyone. So I'm hoping you're all enjoying. And as we read the pieces, I all want you to put yourself in reader and writer mode and think of what you will write if you had these prompts. So we are going to do our second round of readings, and we will start with Nina again. And Nina is going to read a short piece, and I welcome you to kind of hold space for it because there's a lot. It's a subtle piece, but there's a lot going on in this piece. And please, everyone, the readers, wait till I make you big before you go start reading. Go for it, Nina. And it's called The Hero's Daughter.
Hero's Daughter. April 9th, 1989, post-Soviet Georgia. A peaceful demonstration, women, men, and young adults asking for independence from Russia. Russian soldiers, green tanks, poisonous gases, spades screaming death, dark nights, yellow streetlights, black and white newspapers, red tulips, tears, coffins, crowds carrying coffins, more red tulips, songs about independence, candles, sadness, prayers, more red tulips, poisoned and chopped, scarred faces, more red tulips, curly hair, purple crochet beret, golden watch, fear, confusion, loss, more red tulips, emptiness, more confusion, graveyards, black marble stones, more red tulips. My mom, disassociating. Thank you.
Thank you, Nina. That's a vulnerable piece. Thank you for sharing. Next, we go to Roshni, and she's going to read a piece on her childhood. How was it to be a child? That was a prompt. Hold on, let me make you big. Where did you go? Here you are.
Rook, I think I was going to read the things I love to eat, but if you want me to do the childhood one, I can.
Yes, the childhood one first, please.
Sure. Okay. I was a quiet child, sickly and stuck to my mom's leg. I was a loner and my parents worried about me constantly. To say they were overprotective is a serious understatement. Even now, when I sneeze, my parents immediately think I'm sick and start to try to give me medicines or a jacket or something that I likely don't need. My mom tells me that my nanny gave her milk with ghee and that I was practically born in the car on the way to the hospital, which was not that far. I screamed like bloody murder when my dad came into the room, and I'm sure that was not easy on my parents. From the beginning, my dad and I had beef. I was a very sick child. I remember having a lot of bad ear infections, even some where my ears would bleed. I used a nebulizer every night and ended up in the ER every now and again. I was a spiritual child because I remember telling my parents not to worry, that there was God and the doctors and they would take care of me. I played by myself and was pretty introverted. A psychologist told my parents that my social skills were slow, but they would likely catch up. I think they did in a lot of ways, but in other ways, I'm usually pretty happy being on my own. I didn't play sports, so or do too much, but I played through my imagination. I would name my pencils, and each crayon had a different personality based on their color. I didn't love to read. I didn't think I was smart, so I didn't try in school until much later. I didn't like to read much, but even then, I feel like I could pull a book report out of my ass without too much effort. I guess I caught up socially, or it was the first signs of my ADHD because I was always talking and distracting others in class. I also got an award for most inquisitive. Somehow that stayed with me, that it's okay to be inquisitive. And I took it as a compliment, despite how it may have been meant to be received. I liked playing with my sister when she would give me the time of day. And I had a friend down the street named Suzanne who I would hang out with and play in her basement a lot. She still lives there and she hasn't changed that much at all. I remember fun times, my dad taking us to Disney World and him being so proud to be an Imagineer. Family parties and hanging out at my grandparents' house with all 13 cousins, playing mall or whatever game we could invent for hours on end. And most of all, roller skating. I loved roller skating every day in the summertime. I don't recall having that much space, but just going in circles on the driveway was my favorite. I would barely take off my skates from the time I woke up to bedtime and just to go inside to eat lunch. Things were definitely simpler. No internet, no cell phones. We didn't even lock our doors for a long time. Of course, things changed as they always do. But despite their many downfalls, my parents did their best to give us a good life. They gave us a good foundation to be successful in this life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Roshni. Okay, so now we are going to listen to Lynn. And the prompt for this piece was My Perfect Sunday. My Perfect Sunday by Lynn. Let me put you spotlight. There you go.
Dust mote fireflies dance in streaming sunlight. A rainbow arcs on the sage green wall of the bedroom. Encased in a comforter to my chin, I lazily watch the motes, the faint sound of the greenhouse fountain and laughter of my children in my ears. Someone is telling a joke, but the details are whispered, so maybe it's a secret. Then peals of laughter that is headed my way. Tanya carrying Mona on her hip, then Max who leaps to the middle of the bed and plants his head in the pillows to kick the air. Falling, he laughs and asks to play lobster. Lobster is a game where my hand is under a pillow. My lobster claw grabs his wrist or arm, making him laugh uncontrollably. Then he wants to play cute little ears, which sends him into more laughter that's contagious. Tanya drops Mona on the bed and wants the underside of her chin tickled. Mona gets her tummy tickled. We are all laughing. Then arms and legs akimbo, they want their backs tickled and the feather story. Tucking them all within reach, my hand drifts over now bare necks and shivering backs. The feather falls from a bird and swoops over streams, dipping into water, but it is rescued from the water's grip by a gust of wind. It floats over mountains, towns, and roads, tall buildings and trucks. Eventually, it lands at the feet of a child who takes it home as a treasure. After the story, stomachs need food and I need coffee. We all head to the kitchen. Max prancing, still naked from the waist up, shoulder blades jutting. Tanya puts a Zap Mama tape in the boom box and dances with Mona on her hip, swinging her around. Mona giggles as her stomach jumps with the spins. Then Tanya deposits her on the counter and brings out the makings for Grandma's pancakes. On 2 cast iron griddles, hot with butter sizzling, I pour silver dollar pancakes, and Tanya and Max watch the bubbles form. When the surface is pockmarked, steam rising, I flip the pancakes, revealing golden brown undersides. Plates clatter to the counter, and Max dives into a lower cupboard to find the small saucepan. With lots of banging, he emerges waving a saucepan, and with more racket, drags a chair to the sink to partially fill it with water. Syrup is fetched from the refrigerator, the door slamming, and I set the saucepan to warm. One by one, the pancakes land on everyone's plates. The end of the stick of butter greases the griddles for the next batch, and then warmed, it is smeared over the cakes. Everyone always wants more syrup to drown the cakes. Mona, sitting on the counter, gets her own silver dollar pancake. All the while, I am dancing to the rhythms of Zap Mama, sipping past the froth on my cafe latte. The sun streams through the leaves of Baxter the bougainvillea. Tanya's 27 birds chirp and screech, and the pond fountain splashes. It is a perfect Sunday.
Thank you, Lynn. Okay, we are going to invite Leora now. And the prompt for this was, if you could be anything but human, what would you be? If you could be anything but human, what would you be? And here you go, Leora.
If I were not to be human, I'd be a technosapien, programmed with the sole function to teach about love. Looking human, but made of computer chips, semiconductor silicon, copper, and 3D printed parts, I would be programmed to teach humans how to love. The human race has forgotten the basics of love and has moved into survival mode and simplistic, caricature demonstrations of feelings and love. Human families would apply for their technosapien, be interviewed, followed by a thorough psychological and physical screening. If approved and based on the interview and screen results, the family would be assigned their own model, either the TS-212 basic version or the TS-619, a more complex model for families with some foundational skills. I would live with the family, interacting with their daily activities, family, and friends. I would be a model and teacher of love, tenderness, and communication. The TS-212 or the TS-619 would have the ability to read their family and offer specific guidance on how to reconnect to their ancestral skill of belonging. Once assigned, the technosapien belongs to the family for life, or as long as the model lasts. The family would be responsible for my technical upkeep and maintenance to ensure proper performance. Each night, they would have to decide if the interaction, the lessons, were great enough, meaningful enough for me to return the next day. They would be responsible for connecting the complex cabling to their correct modules for the night's recharging and ensuring new love lessons the following day. Thank you.
Thank you, Leora. That was lovely. Still enjoying? Yes? Okay. Let's go forward. Next comes Marty with her piece on Reasons I'm Proud of Myself. Reasons I'm Proud of Myself by Marty Bulger. Go for it, Marty.
My favorite defense mechanism is denial. I love it and have used it faithfully, shamelessly, and fruitfully most of my life. It works great until it doesn't. And I have to face whatever obstacle just can't be denied any longer. Obstacles are essentially challenges, and I must say that I do love a challenge most of the time. Facing them, meeting them is in my DNA, and when I meet them, I give myself permission to be proud. So what have I learned over these past 76 years? What I have learned over these past 76 years is that life is just one long series of challenges. So how am I doing? I get out of bed every single morning, which can be challenging mentally and sometimes physically. There are times I lie there thinking about staying under the covers and doing absolutely nothing. That never seems to happen. I am suddenly compelled to push myself into a sitting position with my legs over the side of the bed and slowly stand. I take a short balance inventory and then start my exercise routine. I do crunches to strengthen my core and squats to strengthen my quads. I am determined to maintain my ability to pick something up from the floor and then to get up again without assistance and without falling over. I am proud. I raised 3 kids who are loving, compassionate, and thoughtful adults. The challenges there were vast and varied, carrying joy, angst, excitement, and fear. And the challenges were met and the outcomes pleasing, relieving. I am proud. I left a sad and lonely relationship. I needed to be on my own to figure it all out. I faced the fear of failure, the fear of winding up a bag lady in a ratty, moth-eaten coat, huddled against the bone-chilling Rochester winter and carrying everything I owned in a black, hefty garbage bag, dumpster diving. That, however, wasn't my karma. I am a phoenix, and I am proud. I left my dearest friends, my faith community, my adopted hometown, and I moved from the Atlantic to the Pacific without a job or a place to live. I brought with me the belief that I would find all that I needed, a leap of faith. And I have found all that I need. I live my life day by day by day. I try to be mindful, compassionate, non-judgmental, fulfilling my purpose. There are still obstacles that present themselves, and I occasionally call on denial to help me not deal with them, but not very often. Now, I actually respect the obstacles and take on the challenges they present. I like it better this way. It's real and bare bones raw. I am aging, and for the most part, I'm doing it with grace and gratitude. I value my attitude and my sense of humor. I am learning about acceptance and about letting go. It takes courage to live authentically, and it's freeing. I am courageous. I am brave. I am fierce. I am proud.
Good for you, Monty. I love it. Yes. If you had sound, you would be hearing a lot of claps. Okay, we move on to Jody. And Jody is going to read a piece called My Best Friends. And just enjoy it. I think it's a very enjoyable piece by itself. Go for it, Jody.
All right, here we go. My best friends. My cadre of companions, friends, allies. We sat together and weighed in on the day's events, sometimes for hours after I was beaten down to silence. All those present say aye, my jurors with me at the helm. Humpty Dumpty, here, I'm here. Cookie Monster, here, cookies. Monkey, who hung upside down, here. Raggedy Andy, Raggedy. Yes, only Andy. My twin got Annie, all the better. Here. Was it okay for Humpty Dumpty to fall down? He had such a big job to put himself back together again. I loved his smile. A reflection of mine? Barely. If I knew one, my mom would say, "You need to smile more." I asked my cast of characters, my crew, my tribe, was I happy? They saw me cry, frightened, but they saw me and heard me. Great listeners. I asked, was it okay for Monkey to see the world upside down? His favorite. Yes, they said. Or Cookie Monster who just ate cookies? He was a mess of blue fur, but his big eyes made me laugh after I cried. I wanted to be Humpty put back together again. All of his parts. He did it. Why can't I? A broken, a ragged, a cookie addict, an upside down. These were my friends. Several more joined us, like Clowny and Santa, both homemade. This was my main crew. We weighed in on fairness, obsessed with right and wrong. My mom said I could have been a lawyer. I could win any fight, just not mine. Beaten for silence, I asked why. I don't understand. I still do. Prior to the fluffs and the stuffed, I had a blankie, a cloak of protection, well worn, well worn. It went everywhere, handmade with love. I would wear it, covering me, precious me. Don't take it away, my safety, my friend. I would ask my partners later, could you just envelop me with your arms, like a long hug, like a blankie? I just need that, to be seen, to be seen. I only spoke to be seen, beaten again. I guess I wonder why I stayed. That little part, I guess that I felt like I had done something wrong. The silence from them equals, you don't matter. I let it all in and felt abuse. I was seen, but now I am seen. Seen by myself, the light. Now I can say no. Tanny and Clowny, they weighed in too. As I grew older, I discarded these friends. Once, all I had. Such an important group. I miss you. Thank you. At least I have one group photo. You saw me and taught me love. I now know why you were there and all your uniqueness, so different, so present. We were our family, my friends.
Thank you, Jody.
Thank you.
And now I'm going to read a piece which is called Growing Up in a Female Body. Growing up female was not making sound, not dangling my feet at the dining table, not laughing out loud, not asking to be served before the boys and men, but hoping your mom hid a big piece of fish just for you. Growing up female was not riding the bicycle, not playing with marbles, not flying a kite, not asking for the cricket bat, not getting the balls back from the, but getting the balls back from the neighborhood garden. Growing up female was not playing the bells, not lighting the lamps, not fanning the goddess, not dancing in the streets in the immersion ceremony, but waking up at 3 a.m. to prepare the ritual objects in the dark room with very little light. Growing up female was going to an all-girls school, taking music and art lessons, learning to cut vegetables in the kitchen, feeling lucky to be allowed to go to the ladies only swimming classes because your brother was going anyway. Growing up female was taking birth control pills to stop having periods during the days of ceremony, because if you had periods, you couldn't go to the temples. Growing up female was hiding your back to not show the blood, walking back from school, painfully aware of the pads made from your mom's old saris that dug into the skin and cut into the skin with every step I took. Growing up female was not showing above your knees, not going out sleeveless, not wearing a bra as soon as you turn 10 because you are too developed, playing within 40 feet of your house only with girls, and bringing your brother home as soon as the street lights were turned on. Growing up female was your breasts touched in buses and trams, dicks poked in from the front and the back in crowded trains or lines in the book fair, being whistled at from nooks and corners as you walk the streets, receiving nasty phone calls about sucking dicks. Growing up female was assuming that you would go to the arts college to study English. And if you are unlucky enough to not be married off before you finish your undergraduate, enrolled in philosophy or psychology masters, just to bide your time. Growing up female was incestuous, touching and sex, was patient waiting, was putting up a smile while hurting, was saying yes. Growing up female was hatred, anger, resentment, and fleeing before you become a good wife, a loving mother, a caring daughter-in-law, a supportive aunt, a silent and invisible elder, waiting to be erased. Growing up female was an apology to be born. Thank you, everyone. So now it's 7, and I would love Nina to come in and read a very short piece. Her pieces are short, so she gets a third chance. And this is about a moment that can be your eternity. What would be a moment that you would choose from your life that you can live forever into? A moment that can be your eternity, by Nina. Where did you go, Nina?
Thank you. I'm here.
Okay, hold on.
Here are 9 moments. Here are 9 moments. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
9 moments. If those were to loop, that could be my eternity. Easy Sunday morning. My husband playing piano and 4 of us in the living room. 2, the sweet moment when I would stare at my newborn daughter and feel the bliss. 3, my younger daughter, when she was 4, giving me an ultimatum. Mom, I can either watch TV, eat ice cream, or poke you in the eye. I knew she was funny then. 4, the electrifying feeling of creativity overwhelming me when finding the breakthrough for something that was challenging. 5, that feeling of getting goosebumps all over because I felt, read, or saw something that took my breath away. 6, my brother's smile that tells me I have not seen you in so long, but I love you so much. 7, holding the hand of a friend and knowing she will be there and will get me through. 8. That feeling of confidence and self-worth when I have done something I'm proud of. 9. Dancing all night.
Thank you, Nina. And now for the piece that you have been all waiting for. This is everyone wrote on the prompt, I owe it to myself. And we threaded everyone pieces together. So you will have a piece that's a collective piece. I owe it to myself. And I'm going to see if I can have all the readers come up together. Give me a moment. And then I have to find Roshni. Okay. Here's a piece, a collective piece by all the writers. And the title of it is I Owe It to Myself.
I owe it to myself to love and be loved.
I owe it to myself to live with intention, to know that I am a piece of a complex puzzle, a strong golden thread in a spectacular, brilliant tapestry.
I owe it to myself to believe I'm enough. I'm the source that creates, the force that loves, the light that nurtures.
I owe it to myself to say no when I mean no. Not yes when I mean no. Not maybe when no is the answer. No, a one-sentence word with a period.
I owe it to myself to just be.
I owe it to myself to heal and become whole again, like I must have been once long ago.
I'm trying to find the reading. Hang on. Hang on. This is embarrassing. Rogue. I can't, I'm trying to find it. I don't have
share it, Ro?
hang on, I'm trying to find it. I have it down in readings and
Judy, I'll go for now and then you can come to
I
the
can't find it.
It's okay. I'll read it.
Hang on. I don't know where it is. I don't know what just happened. June 25th, I owe it to myself. Maybe I have it. Oh, I have it. Okay, hang on. Oh, here it is. I am so sorry, everyone. I owe you a set of those glasses from the 1970s Taco Bell cartoon collection. The ones I gave away during one of my clearing stages. I owe you the truth that Santa and God are real, both within reach. I owe you a day when you can be that boy you long to be, ferociously free. I owe you the biggest ice cream parlor party for the feats that you have won.
I owe it to myself to move my body's 200 bones and 700 muscles, to squeeze, release, push, pull, undulate, pulse, and feel sensations and stillness, to expand my lungs and breath, smell the flowers.
I owe it to myself to honor the gifts that I have been given. I owe it to myself to do my best.
I owe it to myself to not be afraid to lose happiness, to feel it, to embrace it the moment it lands, to not worry that it will be taken away from me, and not wonder if I deserve it.
I owe it to myself to face fears, the hiding behind smiles kind, heart pounding, lurking in shadows kind, fear of failure and rejection, waiting to pounce.
I owe it to myself to hold myself accountable for the pain I've experienced and not let that pain be my guiding light.
I owe you an apology for all the times I thought you had lost, but you really won. I owe you an apology for not listening or believing. I owe you a hug held for the rest of eternity, the kind you take in with full body. Yes, full body.
I owe it to myself to take long bubble baths with salt, rose petals, and/or a book. I owe it to myself to loosely quote Prince and Sinead O'Connor, to eat my dinner in a fancy restaurant. I owe it to myself to have someone in my life for whom I'm responsible.
I owe it to myself to do more than this, more than work, pay bills, and die.
I owe it to myself to learn, talk sweet kind of learning, hard pit of the stomach kind of learning, joy-filled waltz learning, brain twisting conundrum learning.
I owe you the truth of who you are, not hidden in shadows, but brought out to shine. I owe you that run of your life, streets lined with spectators, cheering and clapping on your journey to the finish. I owe you a medal for not giving up, 1,000 medals for 1,000 finishing lines or more.
I owe it to myself to live ethically and to speak out for justice, to be an advocate for children and animals, to take care of our planet.
I owe it to myself to tend to the natural world, quietly stepping through, leaving minimal traces, witnessing whales, sharing sea with fish and skies full of birds, butterflies, and the rare unicorns and rainbows.
I owe it to myself to live in the moment, never stop seeing beauty, never stop creating beauty, to own my story and share it like I'm doing now.
I owe it to myself to stop, not mop the floor, sponge the sink, do the laundry, stop to see, listen, breathe in the present, the now.
I owe you stillness and silence, peaceful silence, and a long, slow breath.
I owe it to myself to love and be loved.
Nice.
Everyone, unmute yourself. And while I try to get people to remove the spotlights, I'm sorry, Nina is in Georgia in Eastern Europe, and she was having problem with joining us at the last minute. She couldn't charge her. Okay, let's see. Yes, you're all here. Wonderful. So let's go over. Let's see. Anne, you just unmuted yourself. One word for what you felt. Or you can give us a few words.
Awe.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Mm. Thank
Excited.
you.
Excited.
Mm.
Intrigued.
Impressed. Very impressed. Yeah.
How was it for you, Alicia?
Lovely.
So, Since we are in this, bubble of word play, I invite you to grab a pen and paper.
I knew that was going to happen.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay, and I'm going to give you the most boring prompt. And I invite everyone to just flow from a place of your heart. I don't want to know what you do for a living. I don't want to know where you went to college or, what your professional life is and how much money you make. I want to know about your soul. So the prompt is, my soul. Describe your soul to me. You can say, I am. You can say, my soul is. You can say, I am Diana's soul. Tell me about your soul. You have 10 minutes. It's 7:13. We are going to come back at 7:23. Go for it. Don't think. Let your fingers write. Take the hat off your head. No thinking.